Hello and welcome back. This is the second video in our No Place Like Home talk, so thanks for rejoining me and talking more about birds. Again, I'm Michelle. In our first video, we talked about home being a place for health, and I hope you enjoyed that video as well as the assignments. If you want credit for the class, you have to complete all of the assignments. The next section, we're going to talk about safety, and safety is one of those topics that we really could spend infinite time on. There's so many household dangers for our birds. They didn't evolve to live in our living rooms, but here they are. So we want to do as good as we can for them, right? We want to give them the best life possible. And so it's important to be familiar with possible dangers. Okay, so home is a place for safety. One of those possible dangers in our homes, there's lots and lots of airborne dangers. So there's things that the bird might inhale that could be lethal. Something that is important to know about birds' anatomy is how efficient their respiratory systems are. They exchange half of the oxygen in their bodies every minute. So when you think about that, that is why they can succumb to problems in the air a lot more quickly than we will. So one of the ones that a lot of people are familiar with, and it's good that they are familiar with it, is Teflon. So it is PTFE and PFOA, any kind of those nonstick coatings. So you want to make sure that you don't use any cookware with the nonstick coatings on it. Now, and it's everywhere. You have to check small appliances for it as well. So generally, what we have known in the past or believed in the past was that when a pan was heated to a temperature of 500 degrees or more, then it would start outgassing. However, there have been more recent studies, and it could depend on the coating, it could depend on the item, that have actually shown it actually starts outgassing at much lower temperatures than 500 degrees. So that's just something that more research really needs to be done on, and is it really worth taking a chance with your bird's life? So highly recommend getting rid of the non-stick pans and even being on the lookout for it in some small appliances. You'll see it in toaster ovens and things, and a lot of toaster ovens don't go up higher than 450 degrees. However, if it is true that it can start outgassing and causing problems at temperatures lower than that, then we might just have an issue right there that waiting to happen with the birds. But some hair dryers even had it, humidifiers. So it's just something to be on the lookout for. And if you're shopping for it, I highly encourage you actually write the company and find out the model that you have if there's any non-stick coatings on it. That's what I've done in the past. And usually they'll be very upfront. You tell them you have birds and you're concerned about it, and they don't want to be liable. They don't want to hurt your bird either. And it is known that these things are hazardous to birds. I've seen pictures of lungs that it's like they bleed out of their lungs. It's just terrible. You don't want that to happen. Any smoke, so cigarette, cigar. This also includes vaping. So any smoke in the air can be problems. They can actually absorb it. If you even have it on your hands, it can be absorbed through their feet. So these are just things to be aware of. If you have someone in your house that smokes, even if they only smoke outside, wash hands and stuff before handling the birds. And of course, wood burning, smoke from fireplaces, aerosol sprays and cleaners. Lots and lots of cleaners are harmful to birds. No, you don't want to use any bleach or ammonia right near it. Self-cleaning ovens. Often self-cleaning ovens don't have Teflon. It's a different issue, but self-cleaning ovens go up to like 900 degrees when in that self-cleaning mode, and things burn off and things are being released into the air at that point. you smell it, and it can be toxic for your birds. Some people say, oh, but I've used my self-cleaning oven and my birds haven't died. Well, it's still kind of a game of Russian roulette, because it could depend on how dirty your oven is. If there's anything that's burning off, the next time you use it, the birds could die. Is it worth taking that chance? So that's one of those things that, unfortunately, baking soda and a toothbrush and a lot of arm power, you get your workout cleaning the oven, of scrubbing is better. But there's just, lots and lots of things that we often use in our homes that are hazardous for birds, again, because their respiratory systems are so efficient. Any strong scents. So the plug-in air fresheners, they're actually, they're not good for people with asthma. So if you have anyone with asthma in your home too, you don't want to use like a Febreze plug-in, candles, the spray. Another thing about is stain guard. Stain guard on furniture and on carpet is, while it's outgassing, especially new carpet, new furniture, there have been reports of birds dying in the home when new furniture or carpet has been installed or delivered. So something to be aware of. Cooking bags. So just any kind of outgassing smell. Another thing that is toxic is, even if you have your floors refinished, if you have wood floors, it's something that you want to make sure the birds are not in the house, and even keep them out for some time. That can be some of the most toxic, things that are used, depending on what is in there. So, okay, edible dangers. I know. Bear with me on this. I know this is very, very, it's kind of depressing, but it's good to know, right? So things that the birds could eat that are lethal. Of course, there's plants. So there's lots and lots of resources online that talk about plants that are harmful. So I encourage you to look for a list that also lists what parts of the plant. Sometimes you'll find the same plant on the safe and toxic list. So if there is a toxic, find out what part of the plant. Is it the root? Is it the flower? Is it the, it's just sometimes there's different parts of the plant and only that part is toxic. Of course, lead. And there is still lead in our environment. You might have a home that is older that has lead paint, many layers deep, all the layers of paint. Of course, sometimes it's definitely in a lot of stained glass windows. So you don't, of course, want the bird chewing on the stained glass window or the walls. Galvanized zinc, zinc toxicity is an issue. And it's really interesting how, two birds can live in the same environment and one might really succumb and get zinc toxicity and need to go through chelation, therapy and everything, and the other doesn't. So there's definitely zinc all around us too. So that's something to be aware of too. And jewelry, costume jewelry and stuff, of course, nails and that kind of thing. There's just different kinds of metals you want to keep an eye on and make sure that, of course, any of that you don't want them ingesting. And again, we mentioned earlier too, the fabric protectors can also be dangers. So other dangers, boiling water. In frying pans, we've gotten, reports of that, where that can be a danger. An open toilet, they can get in the toilet and not be able to get out. Unsupervised flight or floor time. I mean, door gets slammed on feet, flying out of doors, get stepped on, get bitten by other birds, ceiling fans, can be collides with ceiling fans, or even flying into walls or mirrors, chewing on electrical cords. All these things are dangers, and they're all around us. They're in our home, right? Of course, disease. So we bring things into our environment all the time. So it could be, even if they don't have direct contact, we can bring stuff in on our shoes. So we just want to wash things that we bring in. If we are, just be aware. I'm not saying to be paranoid and put everything in a bubble, but it's just things that we want to be aware of, where we get our items. And that's why a lot of places you'll see, encouraged to make sure that you buy your bird supplies in a plate from an environment that doesn't have birds in the store area or wherever the goods that are sold. And we're very careful about that. Even at the adoption center, we make sure there's no birds are in the space where we have items that are for sale. Of course, children and even other adults, can let birds out or get bitten. It's very easy for some people to, we want to touch often as human beings. So sticking fingers in cages, and that could be teaching the bird to bite. So that's why we've got it as a danger, because that puts the bird in danger of possibly losing their home if they develop that pattern of biting because fingers are always invading their environment. Or if, the door is open to their cage at the same time, mom or dad is letting the dog out, that is a potential for the bird to accidentally get out. And of course, other animals. And that can be, we've had a number of birds killed by dogs. It's tragic for the family. It's just horrible. My heart goes out to anyone who has that happen. When you have one pet at home that kills another pet, and often it's just that moment. They could have been fine for years every day prior to that, and it just takes once. So just be aware of other animals in the home too, or if you're outside, of course, predators. Always, in taking birds outside for safe time, we have to be aware of predators in the area. So that, I know I kind of went through pretty quickly all of the dangers, because there's so many, and we're going to have an activity for you to go through too, with the looking at the dangers as well. But next up, we are going to talk about home being a place for family. So, take a moment, go ahead and go through the activities for the safety, and then rejoin us again, please, for the family or flock, home being a place for family and flock. Thanks.